I want you to think of the person who has been an underdog for their entire life. Someone who was always doubted, always broken, always last, but he won anyway. He went from zero to hero, from nobody to somebody. And you're going to love this story. This is born to lose, built to win. This is a story that will resonate with those who have ever felt like they don't belong, who have ever felt lost or broken or without hope. This is a story of triumph over adversity, a testament to the human spirit and its ability to overcome any obstacle. Join us as we take you through this dark journey of grit, determination, and resilience. The year was 2012. A young man was walking alone in the rain. His name was John. He was only 20 years old, yet his face had the wrinkles of a man twice his age. He walked past the bustling crowds, unnoticed, uncared for, like a ghost haunting the streets of his own city. People walked by him without a second glance, not realizing the storm that raged within his heart. John was born and raised in a rough part of town. As a kid, he had dreams, hopes, ambitions. But life had a way of beating those dreams out of you. For him, life wasn't a playground, it was a battlefield. Every day was a new challenge, every street a new enemy. By the time he reached his early 20s, he had already tasted more defeat than most people do in a lifetime. He had failed high school, dropping out in the 11th grade, because he was tired of being made fun of. He had no steady income, no friends, and no one in his family who truly cared about him. At 20, he looked like he had seen the worst of everything, and everything had left him scarred. His knuckles were bruised, his eyes were hollow, and his shoulders were slumped as if carrying the weight of the world on them. One evening, after a particularly bad day, he found himself wandering along the docks, the cold wind whipping against him. Looking out of the dark water, he saw a reflection staring back, a reflection of a young man who seemed to have lost everything. It was in that moment of despair that John realized he couldn't keep living like this. Something inside him snapped, a silent vow, a promise to himself. That night, under the dim glow of the streetlights, John made a decision. He decided to change his life. But how does one change a life that seems to have been dealt a losing hand from the start? John didn't have a lot of options. What he did have was his raw ambition and his will to survive. With newfound determination, John started going to the gym. The first time he walked into that gym, he was out of place. The clanging of weights and the grunts of power seemed foreign to him, but he pushed on, each step echoing his inner resolve. With calloused hands and a determined look in his eye, he started lifting, pushing and pulling, molding his body, reshaping his life. But working out wasn't enough. John wanted more, needed more, so he started running. Every morning, before the sun peeked over the horizon, he would lace up his worn-out shoes and hit the streets. He ran past the same places that had mocked him, the same streets where he had once felt trapped. Now he was running towards something, towards a future he envisioned for himself. There were times when his body screamed for rest, when his lungs burned for air, when his feet bled on the pavement, but he kept going. Why? Because he was born to lose, but he was built to win. As the weeks turned into months, John's dedication became a sight to behold. People who once walked by him now took a second glance. They saw a young man transformed, not just in body, but in spirit. There was a fire in his eyes that spoke of resilience, a strength in his stride that echoed his indomitable will. But life isn't always kind to those who dare to rise. For every step forward, there are often 2 steps back. John's journey was no different. Just as he was starting to see progress, life threw him a curveball. He suffered an injury during a run, a sharp pain in his knee that made him collapse. Devastation washed over him. Was this the end of his journey? Would he be sidelined forever? The doctor's words echoed in his ears. 6 months, no running. 6 months meant no progress, no advancement. It was a setback that threatened to derail everything John had worked for. Yet John was not one to surrender. Even in the face of such a daunting setback, he refused to let his dream die. Instead, he adapted with a grim determination. He shifted his focus to other forms of exercise, swimming, cycling, anything that would keep him fit without putting undue stress on his knee. Months passed. John's knee healed, but so did his spirit. The injury had tested him, but it hadn't broken him. When he finally laced up his running shoes again, it was not with the same reckless abandon, but with a newfound wisdom and respect for his body. He had learned the hard way that life is a balance of pushing limits and knowing when to pull back. John's story is one of perseverance, a testament to the human will to overcome. He proved that setbacks are not the end, but merely chapters in the story of our lives. Through his hard work and dedication, John managed to get a job at a local warehouse. It wasn't glamorous, but it was honest work. With each passing day, he saved every penny, dreaming of the day when he could use that money to build a better life for himself. The turning point came when John met a woman named Sarah. She was a breath of fresh air in his life, a beacon of light in his often bleak world. Sarah saw beyond John's rough exterior. She saw the determination in his eyes, the resilience in his smile, and most importantly, she believed in him when no one else did. Together, they set a new goal, a goal that seemed almost impossible given John's humble beginnings. They wanted to start a business. With Sarah's encouragement and his savings, John took the leap of faith. He invested his life savings into buying equipment and learning the ropes of his chosen business. It was a long and arduous journey, filled with challenges and uncertainties. There were days when he questioned his decisions, when the weight of responsibility threatened to crush him, but he pressed on, driven by his desire to succeed, to prove to himself and to Sarah that he was more than his past. Years rolled by and John's business started taking off. His products gained recognition for their quality and his name became synonymous with reliability and hard work. But amidst this success, John never forgot where he started. He remained grounded, always ready to lend a helping hand to those who were struggling, always willing to share the lessons he had learned along the way. John's rise from the ashes was nothing short of miraculous. He went from being a young man who had tasted nothing but defeat to becoming a successful entrepreneur. Along his journey he had proven to everyone, most importantly to himself, that he was not defined by his past, but by his relentless pursuit of a better future. In the end, it wasn't just John who won. His story inspired others to believe in themselves, to see that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn will eventually break. Now, standing tall against the backdrop of a majestic sunrise, John looked out at the world he had conquered. The struggles, the pain, the loneliness, it was all behind him now. He was not just a survivor, he was a victor. As the first rays of sunlight touched his face, he smiled, a smile that spoke of hard-earned triumph. His journey from the depths of despair to the heights of success was a story that needed to be told, a story that would resonate with countless hearts, reminding them that no matter how dark the night, the dawn will always break. And as the sun climbed higher in the sky, casting its golden glow over the horizon, John knew that his story was just beginning. He had proven that even when life knocks you down, you can get back up and not only survive, but thrive. He had gone from being born to lose to being built to win, and he wouldn't have it any other way. Thank you for watching this video. Please like and comment. Also check out these videos which are designed to uplift your mood and motivate you to achieve your goals.